Happy Independence Day from the intrepid in Manhattan.
July 4th, 1993, Lex Luger slammed Yokozuna on the deck of the USS Intrepid and announced himself as the next WWE American hero. Before this, he'd been the narcissist Lex Luger, and he was also part of Vince McMahon's failed promotion, the WBF, wasn't it, Dale?
Yeah, yeah, correct. And that was also where I also got my drugs from the ICO Pro there too. So you can actually see some homeless guys that didn't quite make the American Gladiators wearing those ICO Pro shirts on there too. So there was always an outlet for where you could branch out, beef up, and not have any good income.
Mm. Now, Lex Luger did get some kind of success in WCW, but it never quite seemed to click in WWE for him. He actually won the Royal Rumble, joint winner with Bret Hart. Never won the title at WrestleMania. He didn't even main event, did he, at WrestleMania?
They had that co-main event too, which I love because my favorite part about that was when they actually locked legs. Him and Brett locked legs, and you could even tell when they flipped over the ropes who was the more technically savvy wrestler as they dipped over the ring. But yeah, I mean, that was right after. I think about it. July 4th, he comes out there with a huge puffy shirt. That's something that was a very patriotic Jerry Seinfeld episode on there. And I thought it was nice too. But I'm laughing because the Steiner brothers are holding him up, and he looked like the less athletic of the bunch there too. And it must have been very heavy with that steel plate on that.
Yeah, but I mean, I just don't get why it didn't. I mean, we go on about nowadays with WWE trying to force people down the necks of fans, and back then they were trying to do the same thing. And the whole thing is sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And with Lex Luger was just one of them things that didn't work. Now, if you go back, there was a taping that was done, and again we're back at Superstars. We seem to be at Superstars quite a bit
because we are superstars.
Yeah. February 22nd, 1994, Superstars station in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where Luger borrowed the World Championship from Yokozuna and done his ring walk with the belt. And I think it was Vince wanting to try and visualize what he would look like with the belt. There was no explanation for this. I'll try and pop the video here if I can get it, of why he done it. And there was no announcements as world champion. He just walked down with the belt.
It was almost like a soft opening of a restaurant where people just happen to stumble by and then walk in and be patrons for a second and be like, oh, this place is new. All right, I'll never come back here again. The best part about it is when you're panning the crowd, there's like one 4-year-old kid that's actually smiling because he's actually on TV. And the rest of the people there actually have pencils for lips, just straight, no emotion whatsoever. He knew. Vince at that point had buyer's remorse too.
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? And I just think it was, they tried everything with him. They had to go. But one thing with Vince, you got to give him, and I don't think people give him enough credit for this, is in the end, when it's not working, he will pull it back. And that's exactly what happened with Luger. And he got put in the Allied Powers, didn't he?
Yeah, it was short-lived, and it was the heel turn that we knew coming since the beginning. And that's why in the following WrestleMania, after he's co-headlining, what happens is he ends up facing against the Blue Brothers. And that's when Zeb Coulter or Dutch Mantel actually said, we figured out a 4-minute match that we had to figure out an ending for. And he even told Lex Luger, nobody came to see you.
Yeah. And then Lex Luger actually made history as well, because while he was still with WWE on the way out, he appeared in is it the Mall of America, was it?
Yeah, over in Minnesota, which is like 600 stories long. And I think only half those stores are actually open right now, which is on the plus side from every other mall in America.
Yeah. Well, he appeared there on Monday night. So he actually appeared on both shows on the same night, I believe. Is that correct, isn't it? Because Raw was taped.
Here's what the funniest part about it is. The competition was a body slam competition on Yokozuna, and I don't know what you win from there. Maybe just a bunch of kids that were on a ship just to cheer for you, but you should have known from the get-go that this was just such a failure when it was an actual hip toss that won it. It was almost like I can't even calculate what that move was called. It wasn't a body slam, but it was more like Yokozuna just being like a giant slug, and Lex's chest was just filled with sweat and salt.
We can call it the Lex Distress. I think that's a good name for it.
what's even more distressed is the fact that when you look up the Lex Express, you could actually find Lex Express parcel packaging, gas stations over in Kentucky, and I think there's probably a soft serve machine in there. And speaking of softy, that guy's ego after a while too.
Well, if there's anything else you can learn from this, kids, then make sure that just because you achieve something doesn't mean it leads you elsewhere. So keep working hours out there, and we'll see you same time next time. Bye.